I'll call the February Planning Commission meeting to order. Any changes to the agenda?
Just make sure we're all on the amended agenda, which we corrected a typo on item number 8. The address was 511. We corrected it to 411. So that's the only item was the amended agenda that was posted.
Okay, I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Look for approval of the January 28th meeting minutes.
So move. I'll second.
Motion made and second to approve the January 28th minutes. Okay, we got a presentation for Habitat of Community Rock the Block event. Sarah Wiley, did you want to take that, Chad?
Yep, I'll kick it off. So as most of you know, we've been working with Habitat from Humanity on an upcoming Rock the Block event. And we have Sarah Wiley with Habitat Humanity to kind of give us an overview of what the project is all about. And then there's a next agenda item that we're going to talk about in the request. So Sarah, I'm going to start by replacing you as the spotlight, and we are ready when you are. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me. I'll share my screen, and I appreciate you making time. And Chad, please hold me to that 10-15 minute time frame so I don't talk too much, because sometimes I get into it. I'll try not to do that for time's sake. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, so like he shared, we're going to be talking about just a brief overview of Habitat. As you know about Habitat, it's a world where everyone has a decent place to live. So housing program, we provide innovative housing solutions. So we have several programs. The next screen just kind of gives you an overview of what those are. The one that we're focusing on today is the Rock the Block program. This is strengthening community one neighborhood at a time. Generally, these have been neighborhood focused. Rock the Block brings together residents, municipalities, communities, partners to improve homes and beautify the surrounding areas. That, in a nutshell, is what it's about. So the reason we started doing this, the growing need, we're responding to what you see with the deterioration in properties. A lot of times it tends to happen in pockets. And if you can prevent that from slipping too far, it actually addresses what we don't want to happen. So addressing the structural integrity, the crime and safety, there's been a link to how that impacts, declining. So again, this is why we decided to add this new program and why it's important that we focus in on, instead of just a house here, a house there, the entire neighborhood and area surrounding that. Places that we've been, so we're rebuilding community. You can look along here. This gives you kind of a map overview. We've done many to date. 16. New London will actually be the 17th. The community-led one started in Little Chute because there's kind of some neighborhoods that maybe are more rural, or they don't have set neighborhoods like in Appleton or Neenah. It went really well in Little Chute, and from there, Brilliant approached us and asked us to come to Brilliant. So we've done Brilliant, and then most recently Wapaka, that you're probably familiar with. How it works, we assemble partners, residents, community supporters, generally starting with you guys, municipalities, cities, identify neighborhoods. So that's where you had shared with us that the 5th Ward is kind of an area that we should concentrate our efforts and focus in on, just because of the age to it, other signs. Raising funds, so you might be aware that there's a fundraising campaign going on for the community, recruiting volunteers, and then rocking the neighborhood. What we mean by rocking the neighborhood is addressing those exterior repairs. So we can look at it long-term as part of neighborhood revitalization. So it's not just this one kind of rock the block event, it's ongoing commitments to rehabbing homes in the area and making improvements, other additional home repair projects. How it starts, we personally connect with 90% of homeowners in that area. So what that means is we do an initial letter, then I actually go door to door, canvass the neighborhoods. I've been in the 5th Ward. I'll continue to go back because, again, this 90% goal is I want to physically make contact, either call, an email, some kind of opportunity that they've heard about. They know that this option is available to them, so they can apply if they're eligible. We identify the repair needs, so we work with families looking at exterior repair needs, because again, we're looking at improving that whole neighborhood and beautifying that entire community. Repairs, we can go as high as $7,500 is what our program covers when it's roof window replacement or any hazardous material. Excuse me. Homeowners make 10% of the down payment up front, and then any remaining balance is a no interest deferred loan. And then that's only payable when they sell or move out of the home. Expenses are kept affordable, especially for the ones that we're doing in-house because, you know, we're working with volunteers and other community members to make that possible. And then the types of repairs, you know, anything on the exterior, so siding, doors, windows, lead abatement, asbestos abatement, landscaping, cleanup, painting, anything you can think of to improve the exterior of a home. We've done fence repairs. We're really looking at it from a curb appeal standpoint, but also the safety and well-being for the homeowner. So plan of action, short and long-term goals. Short-term goals with this Rock the Block event, usually between 20 and 30 exterior home repairs. And I do anticipate that number staying the same. Possibly, I'm hoping for more. I think we'll have more just with the size of the community. I think 30 to 40 is even a realistic goal. Usually 2 to 3 new home or rehab projects, blighted properties. That's part of the campaign and the package that's included in it. 5 to 6 critical home repairs. That's critical interior and exterior. So oftentimes with these homes, we identified that there's a greater need. Perhaps they need structural repairs, foundational, and it goes beyond, you know, Rock the Block program limits. We're working on those, and we're looking at that through our home repair program of addressing those. So just some visual aids for you before, during, and after. This was a home in Menasha, and this is an example of, she ended up being a home repair as well, but it shows needing a roof, all of the siding, windows, new porch. But you can see the impact of community. Neighbors called us just to say what it meant to see this improvement for that neighborhood. Some other examples, you know, this is just showing happy faces, but people working together to make this happen, community projects. And then this was a neighborhood in Neenah. You can see that there's plastic on the windows in the before, and you can see that the steps obviously are dangerous. There's bricks over there, and then the improvements from the after. And then again, another visual aid for how the community comes out. You can see in the background in one of them, there's the brush behind the different projects along the way. You'd be surprised what just clearing some space to be able to see can do for homes. Generally speaking, we have about 27,000 volunteer hours. It's more than that, I think, especially now. And then just by the numbers, like I said, this is 60 neighborhoods. This will be the 7th in New London. We have one in the spring in Neenah, and then New London will be the 17th. 474 projects. That's a conservative number. I think we didn't add into that the ones that we have already for Neenah. 283 homes repaired, 12 blighted restorations, 19 new homes, and to date the largest on record Rock the Block ever when we did our 2019 Menasha 100. And we actually ended up with 101 projects for that one. And then some more results, you know, by the metrics, the numbers. A different neighborhood in Menasha had called us, and they were looking at statistics and crime reports from service calls, and they were seeing the correlation again where burglaries were down, theft was down, ordinance violations. So it's neat that you can actually measure the difference. It's not just the impact that you see with the groups, but there's long-term impacts that benefit the entire community. And then again, some more stats for you. This was from survey results that we like to do after events. We like to get feedback from the homeowners, from the neighborhood. And this is what we see, that there's increased neighborhood pride, that residents believe it's beautified their neighborhoods, they can see it, and they're empowered and kind of encouraged to make those repairs and improvements on their own, even if they weren't a project participant, and then improved values. And again, you know, the things that you can't see and necessarily measure, but exist, you know, quality and standard of living, stability, pride in the neighborhoods. You know, it's interesting that if you think back, families and kids having people over to their house and choosing not to because they're embarrassed of their home. Well, now they can feel like they can have people over, they can host. They're not embarrassed of having people over their home. That has a huge impact to their learning, to their growth. And then again, residents impacted. So this is, again, a conservative number. This is only talking about that neighborhood that were improved. Besides the projects that we do, we incentivize other cleanup and projects. We actually have gift cards that we try to use to incentivize people if they're not eligible, because some people aren't eligible because of the income guidelines, but if they're in that area, if they make improvements on their own that are approved, like physical improvements, we'll provide them a gift card to try to incentivize them to make those improvements. So it's more numbers besides just the ones you see that you can see the improvements on. And then where we're headed, this is where we're going next. As you know, the 5th ward, this is kind of a rough map that you can see. And this is what we're anticipating, obviously, because it hasn't happened yet. We don't know the results, but we're anticipating 25 or more home repair projects. And again, I really think it's going to be closer to 30, 40. And then, at the time, we'll know how many volunteers we have, but this is where we're going, making a difference. So when we talk about the partnership with you, and this will probably answer some of the questions that you may have, when we partner with cities, we ask for an initial $5,000 investment from the city, waiving the permitting fees on residential projects that we're doing. So before Rock the Block, those projects that come through to make those improvements on, we're asking those to be waived. And then collaborating on community projects. We're here, we want to work with you. It makes sense, you're doing some work anyway in parks and cities. Why not use the volunteer support to help mulch, to help trails, and kind of free up some of your staff from doing some of those things when you have the volunteers that can do that and partner with you and make other additional repairs. It's not just mulching, it's not just cleanup, power washing, playgrounds maybe, but we can get creative with that. And then another one I threw in here, providing dumpsters. That seems little, but it's big for when you have a lot of debris and cleanup, especially for those event days. And we're looking at September 16th through the 8th. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. But doing that to help the cleanup along during the days of the event, having dumpsters is some way to remove the brush and debris from that day. And then just hoping you'll join us, empowering families, and looking forward to partnering with you. So that's all I have. Thank you. If you have any questions, I wanted to be able to answer them. My name and information's on here. And this cute little thank you note, this is from Nancy in a Neenah neighborhood. And I just thought you guys would appreciate how much it meant to her. And I will stop sharing my screen so I can see all of you. Are there questions for me? I kind of ran through that pretty fast.
I have a question. You're anticipating 30 to 40 homes that would be possibly renovated. How much revenue does the city lose due to us waiving those permit fees? Do we have an estimate on that?
Nope. We would have to figure all that out yet, to figure out, depending on its siding and things like that.
Is that going to be a difficulty for the city to absorb that loss of revenue?
It's going to be a loss of revenue, but I think these are things that are above and beyond what we typically would have in a year. So, a lot of this stuff, this is a big event, whereas, if this event was not happening this year, would these things be happening, and would we collect that revenue this year? Maybe some of it, but probably not all of it. So we should be collecting the revenue that we normally would get anything. This is kind of above and beyond that. So is there going to be extra work for our building inspectors to go out there and check out stuff? Oh yeah. But is that part of the contribution to make this thing happen? That's part of the contribution that they're asking. So, yep.
I can add some clarity to that question as well. Regarding the project estimates, when I say project, there's two kinds. There's residential property projects that you're referring to with building costs, and then there's community projects. Community projects are counted into that number. So it might be more realistic that 25 of the homes are getting repairs, and the extent of repairs differs from home to home. Not every single home is going to need, a whole home rehab, side need, roof, all of that. So when you think about it in terms of potential loss of revenue, another way to look at it too is the gained revenue from tax increases, right? So the property values have increased. So how's that going to balance out? It tends to, I think, be more of a benefit, at least from what we've heard so far. Again, those are good questions, and that is a good metric to think about. I've never actually been asked that before, so thanks.
Sarah, you had brought up that you're going to need dumpsters for debris and brush and stuff. Are you going to need dumpsters for construction waste?
Usually if it's a contracted item that needs that, it's up to the contractor to coordinate that. So that's a good question. It would be probably needed for, I'd say, like roofing, depending on the extent of it, but I wouldn't say that it would, as far as percentage of homes that would need that type of dumpsters, that's not what I'm referring to for the request. The request is really just during the event days, dumpsters and debris cleaning. And every city's approached it differently. So we don't have to necessarily, maybe what works better here is instead of providing dumpsters, as a city, I don't know when your pickup generally is, but other cities have found it easier and some prefer to just do an additional pickup, say that Saturday following the event or that following Monday for homes that were there. So like we put the debris, if there's trimming, all that stuff, that's worked out too. So you do have options, and obviously we want to make it so that it's a great, event for you and whatever works best.
Thank you.
And one thing that we talked about prior to this, there's the aspect of just cleaning up yards, so compost and then brush. So that would be another request from them. Whereas maybe we do a special brush and leaf pickup or a compost pickup after this event, so that when these volunteers go through, they're just throwing it on the curb, and then we come through and do a quick pickup. So that's another aspect of the project or the event for what the city is. Yep.
Does all the construction take place at one time, or do you go from one house to another house?
Yeah, great question. Depending on the type of work, obviously there's pre-work that takes place. Some of the stuff that requires more skill, we're probably going to be starting some of the construction work. I would guess even as early as July, in advance of it. Construction really determines the schedule for that. For the event days, it's primarily the community-based projects. So you see a lot more of just trimming, brush removal, and not so much of the construction heavy repairs, because obviously, this comes with a warranty. We have to guarantee our work. So we can't have just anybody putting up windows and doors and that sort of thing. Also, as far as the pickup, it's not going to be as extensive as maybe it seems. And the reason for that is we have, as part of the event planning, we have, logistics crews and our volunteers that have, trailers and pickup trucks that are going around and handling some of that, so that, because obviously we don't want to leave behind a mess. We wanted to not create more work. So we do some of that on our own. And like Wapaka, for instance, what we had our guys do is they just would unload at the landfill and just handled it. So it wasn't something that needed to be addressed by the city. So I guess as we get closer to it, if as you talk through it, it works better to do it a different way, I would just put you in touch with our construction project manager. Maybe it makes sense to approach it a different way for the city.
And then will those projects be limited to just residents in the Fifth Ward? Because word travels fast. I mean, somebody, a couple streets down might say, wow, I really wish I could have gotten that. Is there going to be exceptions to the rule, or is it limited to a certain area or anybody within the city of New London?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I wasn't clear on that. So this is for the city of New London. It's community led. So anybody that's eligible can have repairs done. And it is just first come, first serve. We have an application deadline of April 15th. So it's open to everybody. It's just that we're concentrating the outreach efforts in the Fifth Ward. Obviously, I couldn't go to 3,000 some homes. I'm not sure what the population is, but for all owner-occupied homeowners, all owner-occupied homeowners are eligible for this, regardless of where they live in New London, as long as they're part of the city of New London. And I have their name on that list that, Chad shared with me, then they're eligible.
And Sarah's been doing outreach, with different groups and trying to get the word out, and like she said, sent out mailings and things like that. So she's been getting the word out already, and prior and to get ready for this event.
Where do all of your volunteers come from?
Where are the volunteers from? They're usually from the area. It's very rare that we've had, and especially with, New London being about 30 minutes from where we're located in the Fox cities. They're generally civic groups, church groups. Part of my outreach, and when I get opportunities to share, I'd probably start doing this April, May, is reaching out to churches. I've already had actually a church group in New London reach out and say that there's a group of guys from there that likes to help out in ways. So we're probably going to partner with them. The senior crew volunteers that we have, so regular committed volunteers that can lead sites potentially, they're from all over the greater Fox Cities area. So we might have some that are maybe from New London, but even some from Wapaka. We have some from Appleton, Neenah, Menasha. But most of the volunteers for those event days actually come from New London. And that's what we want to see. It's a community, it's your community, it's New London, it's neighbors helping neighbors. And that's why it's special. That's why it's important. It's not us coming doing for you. It's us partnering with you and kind of just being a catalyst for this to happen. And then you can see the results of it after that. Neighbors get to know each other and, work on stuff beyond just this event day. It's a long-term investment when you think about it.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Yes, that's okay. So
Talked everyone to death. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll say goodnight then. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call, whatever works best.
Yep.
Thanks again, Chad. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
guys later. Bye.
I guess we want to go to number 5, consider waiving the building permit fees.
I know Sarah had another event at 5:30, so that's why she's cutting out right away. So, but like she said in the presentation, one of the asks that they've had for other communities as well is to consider to waive the building permit fees just for the whole project, because they finance a lot of the stuff up front. So that's just something to help keep the cost down for that. So whether you feel like that's something that you're comfortable tonight, or if you want me to get more information, like Jason was talking about, if you want more information, I can do that. But this is something part of the project process they've asked for us to consider having this event.
What
I'd like
have
to make a
other
motion.
communities that have done this? Have they waived the
Mhm.
building permit fees?
I don't know if every community has, but I know some of them have. She has indicated that that's been a successful part of the community donation towards the event. So I can't say if all of them have or not. I'm not sure.
So I'd like to add to this too, sitting on a couple of these committees and leading up to this. Stuff like this, we have to raise, I think there's $400,000 or something like that.
Something like that.
And for this project to happen. And I don't remember what the last numbers were, but when you waive fees like this, that goes towards that goal. At what percentage, I'm not sure of. And then like if people are volunteering, like if you have somebody who volunteered their tools and man hours, that goes towards that as well. Not sure exactly what all that consists of as percentages that goes to the dollar amount, but they do take that into consideration. So I can't say that, we waive these fees and 100% of that fees is going to go towards that, but I know they do take that into consideration.
What is the average building permit fee? Like what is that fee? I know it depends on what you're doing, but
Yeah, it depends on. if
are we
it's-
talking $50 or are we talking $500?
Hey, David, are you on? Not to put you on the spot, but our new building inspector, Dave Vincent, and I was going to introduce him later on, but maybe I can bring him on. I don't have those memorized. I know I've seen the spreadsheet, and David's brand new. David's been our new building inspector for a couple of weeks. I don't know if he's got it memorized. David, can you hear us? I don't know if you can jump in a little bit. Well, must not be able to. So I can get that for you guys if you want that, for consideration, but I don't have the fees memorized by any means. It's not something I deal with every
I
day.
can't see that being a whole lot anyway, as far as, otherwise nobody would do anything. You couldn't.
I would tend to agree with her that a lot of these wouldn't be done without this anyway.
Mhm.
So, and with the property taxes, you're gonna get your money back. I don't see a lot of these homeowners down here without having that interest-free loan and everything doing these projects.
So you're not losing any money anyway, probably on half,
No.
at least half of the houses, for sure.
It may even be more than half of them houses that people wouldn't be able, it's a great deal for them to be able to have that interest-free loan and until they sell it. And a lot of people, I think, are gonna take advantage of that. But they wouldn't be people that would stick that kind of money into their house otherwise.
I also think that it's a good way to show the people that the city care.
Yeah, especially this time that it's COVID going on and everything, and kind of morale's kind of down a little bit anyway. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm in favor, but I don't know how to, anybody got any other comments on it?
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the fees, the permit fees for the Habitat Humanity Rock the Block event.
I would second that.
Motion been made and seconded to waive the permit fees for the Habitat Humanity Rock event. Okay. Review and approve the
Oops, you gotta
CSM.
Call a motion.
Oops, I'm sorry about that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review the CSM. That
Yeah.
Chad, well,
Yes, just let everybody know David's got technical difficulties. He can hear us, but he can't talk for some reason, so we'll all wave to him and say welcome. But number 6, we're reviewing and approving CSM for dividing a parcel in the Northeast Industrial Park. This is for, let me bring it up on our information here. Like we've talked about in the past, we are looking at selling a piece of property in the Northeast Industrial Park. On this map right here, the CSM, it would be indicated as Lot 2. I believe we have Paul from Midwest Properties on the phone. Paul, are you there?
I am here.
Beautiful. So I won't try to answer your questions like last time. So if the committee has questions, they can ask you directly. But the next 2 agenda items are with Midwest Properties here. But we're looking at selling Lot 2 for the new development in the industrial park. So what we're looking at right now, we created a CSM to divide the lots because it was set up as one big lot. So we divided the lots and we've divided off the back lot as our stormwater retention pond. That would be the parcel east of Lot 2. So basically what we're looking for the committee, Missy has looked at this, everything lines up, mapping wise. We're just looking for the committee to bless the CSM to move forward as it's drawn up.
do you have any questions?
Which of the 3 Lot 2s is it?
Right here, this Lot 2,
Okay.
the big one. Yeah, this is just showing a blow up
Okay.
of that corner. So that's why you're seeing
Ah.
a blow up in Lot 2, Lot
Got
2.
it.
There, boy. So this Lot 2 right here. Maybe if I go like that, it'd be a little bit easier to see.
Look
Is there a
for,
reason why that drainage hasn't been included in that lot? Why those lines didn't run all the way to Hinsky Road?
Why the drainage here? Let me
Yeah.
bring,
Rectangle out of the parcel. You have Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3, and then Lot 4.
Mhm.
How come Lot 4 is a lot? How come they didn't just run Lot 2 all the way to Hinsky Road?
yep, let me
Is that
bring up
because of that drainage?
yes, let me bring up the aerial. That'll probably give you a better. This is what the lot was. And if you can kind of see,
Sure.
the 2 drainage ditches were a good separation of the 3 lots.
Yep.
Lot 4 is the retention pond, which would be staying in the ownership and maintenance responsibilities of the city because it's considered a regional stormwater pond for that area. So just bringing up the map, you can kind of see where that stormwater retention pond would be indicated in Lot 4, which we will retain. And then there are easements already defined in the CSM. You can kind of see the drainage easements that are indicated there, which would correlate which the drainage ditches that are, already on the property.
that's all staked out already out there, isn't it?
I know we had the
Right.
survey markers out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Or the surveyor group was out there, so.
Yeah.
I haven't been out there to see if they got the markers out there. I'm
There's-
assuming when they went out.
There
there,
was
they
some
marked-
markers out there. I was out, looked at it today.
Did you find that sewer, Chad?
Yes,
It's deep, wasn't it?
yep, we found it.
Anybody else have any other questions? I guess we're looking for the approval for the CSM.
Correct.
Look for approval of the CSM for the define the parcels in the Northeast Central Industrial Park.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to review and approve the CSM to define the parcels in the Northeast Industrial Park to assist in the sale of the parcels to Midwest Properties. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, look for we'll consider for approval of the site plan for Midwest Properties.
Yep, I was hoping Randy was gonna be here because he's been working with Paul from Midwest Properties, but in the agenda packet, Randy did provide a memo that he's reviewed the site plan for the parcel up there. And he's found that it believes to be in compliance with everything that it needs to be in the industrial park and in the zoning. So you can kind of see in your packet, and I believe you guys have seen this before when we started talking about the property, but overall, they're looking at developing 3 buildings. The first building would be on the northwest corner. That's going to be phase 1. And then down the road, they're going to be looking at doing phase 2 and then another building back here, phase 3. So phase 1 building is the one they're looking at now because they have a tenant that's interested in renting that from the developer. And like I said, Randy's gone through this. He provided a memo saying that it all looks good. Like I said, Paul is on the line. If you guys got specific questions about the project or the development, I'll let you guys kind of go ahead.
Anybody have any questions? What's the time frame to develop it?
Thanks, Jeff. The timeline, we're in the process of getting all of our numbers, construction numbers together. The lease has been signed with our tenant. They would prefer to be in there sooner rather than later, but unfortunately, with everything that's going on in the construction business, materials are in big demand, and lead times on steel in particular are out, probably twice as long as normally the case. So we probably will break ground, I'm hoping sometime in mid-April. If not mid-April, then the beginning of May. My steel hits the ground as it stands right now in the first part of July. And once that happens, we'll be able to put the building together fairly quickly, within 4 weeks probably, and be occupying shortly thereafter.
Anybody else have any other questions from? I look for consider approval of the site plan for Midwest Properties.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded to consider to approve the site plan for Midwest Properties. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thank you.
Ed, you want to take that for the library and the museum?
I can continue on. Let's see. Number 8. So we've got another CSM we're looking at. And this one is to combine the 4 parcels that are that make up that property across from the library. Did I put a map in my memo? I think I did. Let's see if I can find that quick. Nope. Let me show you where the 4 parcels are now across from the library.
See, they're up there doing some work in the old Malarkey building right now.
Yes, there's a new owner of that building.
Yeah.
So that's kind of exciting right there too. So just north of that, the public library and museum is on the east side of Pearl Street here. And there's 4 parcels here that are in ownership of the city. And what they want to do there, you guys probably know that the library is looking at doing a development, the library museum board is looking at doing a development across the street. And one of the processes for that would be to clean it up and to put it into one parcel. Now, I think I put in my memo, there's one little caveat to this. The parcel at 401 is actually in the name of the city of New London. The other 3 parcels are in the name of the New London Library and Museum Board. So what I'm asking for the commission to do tonight is consider for approval the CSM as it's designed and presented right now, with the caveat that the Finance and Personnel Committee next week is going to review to basically deed over, so the city would deed over this one parcel to the library, so it would be under one name. It's kind of goofy that it's under 2 different names right now. So they're going to talk about that at the Finance and Personnel meeting next week. talking about just deeding this parcel to the library museum board so they're all in one name. So I guess what I'm asking for the commission to do is put a conditional approval based on if the finance and personnel committee and the council follow through with deeding over the one parcel to the library museum board that you guys have already blessed, reviewing and approving this CSM as presented. And again, it's just putting them all into one lot for the most part.
And the city's already invested money into that already with the tearing down of the store and the trophy shop that was there. So I can't imagine that we're not going to want to turn it over to the library and the
Is that
museum.
why that's separate? Because that building was there and the city bought that building, or?
The trophy shop and Denny's.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that all got into certain names. I think there was, don't quote me. I think there was something that the donor who purchased the 401 lot put it in the city's name, and then the other ones were put in the library museum's name. Inadvertently, it was kind of supposed to be for the library museum anyway as a donation, but it just got put in the city's name because, I mean, the library museum is part of the city. So, but to be technical about it, they're in two different names. You know, we're just cleaning it up for the most part.
We're looking for the CSM. Anybody have any other questions on that? So we're looking for the same thing, a CSM for approval to combine the 401, 405, 411, and 413.
Correct.
I look for a motion.
I'd make that motion pending approval of the stipulations.
I would second that.
Motion's been made and second to approve the CSM, to combine the lots. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, now we got another floodplain.
Yep, so pretty much the same situation. Randy has been working with the homeowner at 312 Elm Street, which is a residential property. The person is either doing a major remodel or a new construction at that parcel. And similar situation, wants to get it out of the floodplain, raise it up, but does not have enough room, you know, in the smaller lot to reduce the 15-foot flood protection elevation distance. In your memo, there was a memo from Randy. He's been working with the homeowner, and it looks like that the engineer that the homeowner is working with, it sounds like everything's in compliance for what it would be for the structural material for the wall and appropriate fill compaction methods approved by codes. Randy's been working on that with the homeowner and directly with the engineer to make sure everything's in compliance for this project. So similar situation where they are asking for the city to bless a variance for the 15-foot flood protection elevation distance on that parcel.
Anybody have any questions on that? And Randy's already said everything looks fine to him.
He's, and we made sure because this is the same situation as the other
Yeah.
one. So I told Randy, make sure you're talking to the engineer, and they do have an engineer from Davies. So they've been working with an engineer on this project. So
I just like to make the statement that this is why I opposed that other variance, was because we didn't have this. And this is approved. This is what I
Yeah,
was
that's
asking for that
right.
other property.
Sure.
So I have no problem with this.
And this one has got everything that you're missing before and letters from the neighbor, right?
do we have the letters from the neighbors in here too? I don't know if we've got
you said
that.
the neighbors,
Stated in there.
there
I
was
don't think
neighbor
the letters
approval on
in there,
there.
but it was stated in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Yep.
something for the neighbors on there, yeah.
I'd also make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and second to consider a variance request for reducing the floodplain, 15-foot floodplain protection elevation of distance at 312 Elm Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Chad, do I have to abstain from that? That's my cousin.
I would.
Yes.
I would. Okay, so did you, who made the second? I didn't catch that. Jay made the second. Okay. So Jamie's gonna abstain.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next update on planning issues, agenda items.
Let's see, what do we got? Okay, the Thrivent sign request, working with Thrivent on their, remember we talked about the sign that's currently in the right of way. They want to replace that. I've been working with Thrivent and the sign company and Carroll Land Surveying to look at bumping out or carving out an area and then basically deeding over a portion of the right of way because the street is to the south end of that. So there's enough room in that right of way to still have a 60-foot width of right of way in front of their building. It took a while. I got a cost estimate from Carroll Land Surveying to do the CSM and all the work on their end for that. Went back to, and I spoke to Travis at Thrivent in town here. Ended up communicating with Thrivent Corporate, and Thrivent Corporate is going to finance the CSM cost for that. So once I had that in writing that Thrivent Corporate was going to pick up the cost, gave Carol the green light to start the work on doing the CSM. I just got a draft today, so we're just kind of working out that process for where the new boundary lines would go for the right of way. So it took a while just to communicate with the corporate office to get something in writing saying that they were going to reimburse the city for that cost. So that's where we're at there.
Yeah, because they were all on board with it last time when we were talking about it. I know that was a couple months ago.
But I was waiting for something in writing, and I do have
Yeah.
that now. Yeah. So, because it's going to be, I think it was between $1,800 and $2,000 for them to remap that and do the CSM and all that fun stuff. So, but I do have that in writing now. So working on that.
And do we know in the future if roads change, do we change them? Do we change them right away lines right away when the road changes?
Nope. So the right of way is the right of way. So whenever you develop a road, you can change it within the right of way. But just think of the right of way as the city's property. Just because you move the right of way doesn't mean the right of, just because you move the road doesn't mean the right of way moves and it carves into somebody's private property. So if we need to change the road for whatever reason, you're going to stay within the right of way that's existing.
And I just was wondering that because like, if you're going through the process of changing a roadway and then you obviously you've been surveyed, you paid the money. So why not do that all at one time instead of now making them pay the money to do it afterwards,
I see what you're saying, and you're right, you're correct. That's when it should be looked at because you're in that process already.
Right.
Save time and money in the future. I mean, if it's gonna be moved like what they did over here, where they brought it in and did that work, at that time, when they did the survey, they should have looked at that and compiled it to the ordinance
Oh, you're saying when they moved the road that the right of way should have been moved,
at that time, yeah.
and that doesn't automatically happen.
Right.
That's
That's what I'm saying. Should that happen? You know what I mean? Should that happen just because then you won't have this issue?
not necessarily. I mean, every time a road gets moved a little bit doesn't mean that you automatically change the right of way. I mean, think of it as a city property. Every time you move something within city property doesn't mean you automatically.
Well, I don't think you're saying to move it, but at least look at it, because something like where we're at driving, that really should have been looked at and done at that point in time. Not necessarily if you're gonna resurface this road and redo the sidewalks and stuff.
Yeah.
As a committee to definitely just take a look at it, but
But in something like that, where the right of way is like the front of his building, if you could give them 5 feet even, that, and if it doesn't cost a whole lot for us to do at the time because you're already surveying it, compared to $2,000 for somebody now,
And
that's
that,
something to look at.
and that
next
building
time.
was already there when they did it, so that would have been the time to do it.
right, that's what he's saying.
Yeah,
Thorough and of it when next time when we come about
Yeah,
that.
if something comes up like that again, yeah.
But there isn't too many properties that I think are like that. I think that's pretty unique that the right of way is that close to the building. I mean, I don't remember seeing. I mean, just setbacks right now don't allow for that. So, yep. I mean, that can be looked at if something major changes like that. And I have no history of how that was changed, when it was changed, or obviously way before my time.
Review items for future meetings, Jack.
We still have, outstanding right now for the flood protection variance request for 813. So we'll just keep that in the items for future meetings when that comes up.
Haven't heard anything?
Nope.
Maybe that's a good thing, or maybe not. Review next meeting date.
Yeah, oh, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the review for future meeting items. At the next meeting, if you remember, we approved the contract or the agreement to hire Cedar Land Serving or Cedar Corporation for updating the comprehensive plan.
Yep.
They want to come to the next meeting to start that process. However, they cannot meet on the next Thursday that we usually meet. So the next meeting would typically be the 25th. Their consultants have a conflict, so they're requesting if we could move the next commission meeting date to the 24th, if that's okay with you guys.
When's economic development, the 23rd,
Economic development would be the 30th, so it won't even be the same week
30th?
this
Okay.
next month.
How does everybody feel about Wednesday?
Fine with me. Makes no difference.
Wednesday, all right with everybody? Doug, all right with you?
I think so.
Yeah, I guess okay, Chad.
Wonderful.
Me.
Okay. And I guess, David, we can see you now. I don't know if we can hear you, but I'll just kind of introduce you. Maybe if you can try to unmute again.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I made it in finally.
Hey,
I got
there
on
you
a-
are. We got you
got
now.
on a different laptop, so.
Got it. Got it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I got it
David
to work.
is our new building inspector. He's been on for what, 3-4 weeks now going on. Comes to us
Yep.
from Michigan. So he's actually commuting a little bit on the weekends yet. So that's why he's back at home. He just went back home today, but he's with us virtually. And eventually, once he gets his family moved over here, he'll be here normally. But I'm glad he got on, and then I can introduce him finally to the Planning Commission, which David obviously is going to be the big liaison between the city and the Planning Commission once we get going. So,
Looking forward to it.
thank you, David. Oh, yeah. Yep.
We got the next meeting date set?
Yep.
Like we'll entertain an adjournment.
I would make that motion. I'll second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor?